Have you given any more thought to my offer?
I can't stay here. You know that.
I understand. I was foolish to think it was even a possibility.
The next time you invite someone for a visit, you might want to let them know that you're looking for a lifelong companion.
Set a course for love.
Ah, yes. One of your earth emotions.
Glad I found you.
Let's get married.
Delete the wife.
Welcome back to Deep Space Love, the Star Trek podcast where a married Trekkie couple explore love in all its forms throughout the final frontier. I'm one of your hosts, Nicole.
And I'm one of the other ones, Joe.
You're the only other one, Joe.
You correct me every time, but you know I'm never going to fix it.
You could.
No.
Okay.
Our listeners expect nothing less, and I must deliver what they want.
I don't really have a good comeback to that.
I'm a showman in that regard.
Okay. How are you doing today, Joe?
Good. Long time no see.
I literally see you every day.
That's true. Just kidding. No, I'm good. How are you?
No, we're good. In typical Minnesota fashion, I'm going to talk about how the weather's been nice and it has greatly uplifted my mood. Today was so nice, in fact, that although it's a Thursday, I was convinced it was Friday.
Yeah, the weather does that to you, right? Just nice weather makes you think it's the end of the week because it's a reward.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. No, it was very nice. I enjoyed it. Nice to get outside, enjoy some sunshine. The grass is coming in. That's pretty cool. I'm sure everyone loves this detailed description of how weather works.
Well, just along with the warm weather too, the winter, as some listeners may recall, if you've been listening almost every episode, there's lots of sickness in the household throughout the winter, so it's been nice to have a reprieve for the most part from that. And yeah, getting outside, and I don't know, can't complain too much. We have like a big international trip coming up in a few short weeks, and you're a teacher and the end of the school year is coming up, so summer break's coming up. It's, I don't know,
Counting down the days.
good vibes.
Yeah, good vibes, good vibrations. That's the Beach Boys song.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. It's been a minute. I mean, our last episode, I think, was our kind of special episode that we released at the end of March with Trey Calloway of Mercy Point. We unfortunately missed April. Real close, but we didn't quite make it. We try.
No surprise there.
We try. I guess we're not professionals here.
We are not.
No, it's okay. We're amateurs. It's fine. It's fine. Y'all listening still. It's fine.
I think you pointed out to me, and I was able to read them, but we did get a couple of additional ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts, and so that was a lot of fun to see. Thank you greatly to the two new comments reviews that we had.
Yeah, and I said I'd kind of asked on our social pages to rate and review to kind of get the word out for the podcast more, and in doing that, I think we should read our 5-star reviews, right? We should share what our friends said.
Sure, if you want to.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about this. I appreciate people taking the time to rate, review, and listen to our podcast in general. So thank you all. But I did want to give a shout out to the mighty Jin Jojo. Left us a 5-star review saying, there are a ton of amazing Star Trek podcasts out there, but exploring love and relationships throughout the series is such a fun and novel way to explore the show. Let's be honest, you can never have too much Star Trek in your life, so give this fantastic podcast a listen. Plus, Nicole and Joe are awesome hosts. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, almost like...
Are you tearing up?
Almost,
yeah.
Yes.
No, that's really appreciative. I know this person who wrote this review also followed us on Twitter recently, and I've been enjoying following them back. They're going through Discovery right now, so that's really cool and exciting.
Excellent.
It's nice to relive a little bit through those tweets. So thank you for listening. We appreciate you, and we hope you still enjoy the show. We also got another review from Trey Dio, and it says, I'm deeply into Deep Space Love. And they say, it's heartfelt, it's smart, it's everything you love about the Star Trek universe and beyond. But don't just take my word for it. Listen and follow for yourself. Another stellar 5-star review. Thank you so much.
You know, I'm looking at these, and I'm not sure that you read the two most recent, but I don't know if you read the one prior to those two.
I may not
Rude.
have. I may not have. Yeah, that was one that came a couple of months ago. Actually,
Is it because we know him?
it's from our buddy Khalid, who guested on this show a little while ago and also co-hosts Frankenstein's podcast with me. So yeah, our buddy Khalid, who was on for the Sex Space Candle episode, left us a really heartfelt review. He gave us 5
Oh my God,
stars.
that's really long. I feel like you should have.
It's not that long.
Okay.
Anyway, he says, the perfect show for Trekkies and newbies. He says, this show rules. I should start my review by admitting I'm not as well versed in the Star Trek franchise as most people in the fandom, but that's what makes Deep Space Love so fun to listen to. Obviously, knowing all the Trek lore would be beneficial, but Joe and Nikki do an amazing job of giving context to every episode, and I never feel like I'm missing out on anything. Focusing on romance in the Trek universe is such a great idea and sheds light on an aspect of the series that I don't hear discussed as often. My favorite episode is definitely the one with the sex scandal. They probably could have gotten a funnier guest, but Jean-Luc fighting a horny ghost is always a win. 5 stars.
He calls himself out there. It's great.
Yeah, it does.
No, we love you, Khalid. Thank you.
We love you all. Thank you for the reviews, people.
I guess we should carry on to our next segment, your favorite segment, Trek Check.
Trek Check.
Computer, status report.
What the hell was that?
Oh, you did it slow this time.
Well, I was kind of, in my head, I was imagining like an echo, like Trek, check, 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 check. I was thinking about putting that effect in, but I'm not going to do that.
No, please don't.
Well, I mean, my vocal version was fine.
You know, I think it did what you were trying to do.
Yeah, no. It's the Trek Check segment in which we just go through some news and updates in the Trek universe to share our thoughts about. So I want to breeze through a couple quick ones just to give some announcement because I want to spend some more time on a couple other ones, if that's okay with you.
Be my guest.
So one announcement I want to say that I know that you're not as big of a gamer as some of maybe our listeners might be. Star Trek Resurgence is kind of a big game that's been announced. I think it was announced last year, and there's been a lot of questions of when it's going to finally come out. And they finally gave us a release date. May 23rd is when we can expect that game to finally drop. And they've been giving us some fun announcements, like they just announced that Jonathan Frakes is going to be voicing Riker in the game, and it's just going to kind of take place in a fun era, like kind of the First Contact on era where they with the classic gray uniform. So I know a lot of people are hyped for that game, so we got some announcements there and some movement, so look for that on May 23rd. I also wanted to just announce that we did see Strange New World Season 2 trailer. I think that looks great, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were impressed, I believe.
I was, yes. I was so impressed. I really wanted to, I didn't want you to watch it until I was home with you because I watched it first. And so I was like, you got to wait so I can see your reactions.
I watched on the big screen.
The big screen, our TV.
Yeah. TV, yeah.
It's not like that big of a screen, but it's
bigger than
a phone.
Yeah. No, that was a blast. I really enjoyed that. Another interesting kind of tidbit that's a Star Trek tangential news is Paramount as a company just announced they are in working development of a Galaxy Quest TV series spinoff from the movie. I don't know.
That is news to me. Interesting.
I'm not quite sure what that'll look like. Whether or not it will follow any characters from the movies or if it's going to be like the same vein. Like, I'm wondering if it's going to follow that same continuity or if it's just going to be like another story that's in the same vein of that, like the idea of like a space show or something that's meta and the actors have to go on an adventure or I don't know. And there's any number of directions they could take it. I'm interested. Mm-hmm. It does seem like they're trying to maybe take Paramount as a company is trying to look at like, oh, we can do the Orville 2. We had this property. Let's do that ourselves, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, a more kind of fun, like space shows, I'm all for it, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So anyway, here's the two bigger pieces that I really wanted to go through and maybe spend a bit more time on. We got some pretty exciting announcements for the Star Trek universe moving forward. We had the announcement of a brand new series, the Starfleet Academy series, which is, I don't know if it's fully confirmed, but in the announcement, it says that Starfleet Academy is opening after 100 years of not being open or a century of not being open. And that sort of implies to most people, I think, who've read that announcement as it's going to take place in the 32nd century. Discovery has kind of paved the way for. I hope that's the case. What are you thinking?
Yeah. Since we have gotten the news that Discovery is going to be ending after this next season will be Discovery's last. And yeah, how many? One, two. This will be the third season in the 32nd century. Correct. Thank you for double checking that for me. So, I think it's going to be great to have more time there because only about half, like a little over half of Discovery was actually in that future. So I think exploring that more and hopefully and then it gives some opportunity for characters that we know and love from Discovery possibly to appear either regulars or, regular guest appearances or cameos, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm all for it. And I mean, I mentioned between you and me in the past that a show that kind of focuses on cadets and the experience of being in the academy. It's such a part of the franchise that has not really been explored. We've only ever like dipped into it with like certain episodes, which kind of reminds me of like Lower Decks in a way, how it used to be the occasional episode would focus on folks from the Lower Decks. And now we have a whole show dedicated to those working on the Lower Decks. So now we'll get a whole show dedicated to the Academy experience. So I'm all for it.
Same, yeah. I'm excited to explore more of that future. I think I mentioned before when I think a couple episodes ago when we had the Discovery announcement that it was ending after season 5, that future just feels like such a rich area to explore. Like how the next generation went forward 100 years after TOS. Like we haven't had that much of a time jump in for a while, and then Discovery finally gave us that. And to end that show without returning to that era would be unfortunate. And so I'm hopeful that the Academy show will kind of continue in that trend and bring us some cool stories and, like you said, some cool cameos. And I think it's in some rumors are that it might focus on Tilly, which would be a blast.
Mm-hmm. Love Tilly.
Aside from that, we got another big announcement about a Michelle Yeoh led Section 31 movie that'll be on Paramount Plus. So, what do you think about that?
I'll just keep this short and sweet. I mean, Michelle Yeoh plus Star Trek equals amazing, pretty much in my book. So, or just sign me up. I'll be there.
Agreed. I am really excited about the precedent it sets of the idea of that Star Trek moving forward doesn't necessarily have to be big budget blockbuster film or like 10 to 15 episode series. They can do different kinds of things. So like a movie or a mini series, we could see different kinds of storytelling moving forward. And I'm all for that.
The short treks were kind of a mini series.
I agree.
Kind of dwindled away, but yeah.
With them,
concepts.
with short treks kind of going, it felt like that presence was missed. And so I'm hoping this is kind of a return to that idea of like doing something different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah. It's good for all those reasons too. Yes. I think so anyway. I mean, we had our recently, a couple months ago or whenever, our ranking of all the Star Trek series. And I feel like even though we ranked some lower than others, I've never, hated any Star Trek. So I anticipate that I will like this.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm intrigued to see what they'll do with Section 31. It's been such a like controversial like piece to the Star Trek franchise that's indeed, in some respects been interestingly done and some others been like overdone. So I'm curious how it's going to be handled here. So yeah, I'm optimistic about both.
Agreed.
And here's the one I think that might take a little more time. I wanted to mention we just finally wrapped up Star Trek Picard season 3. And not only is that the end of the season, but the end of the series as a whole. So this could be meaty here. I'm going to ask you, what were your thoughts?
I think it was I want to say it was probably the best season of Picard, especially story-wise. I think it was the most kind of tight. I think 2 meandered a lot and kind of didn't know exactly like where it wanted to go or what it wanted to do. And of course, it was pretty heavy on the nostalgia, which I do enjoy. I mean, it's hard not to love that crew, especially knowing how close they are, not just like in universe, but also as actors. And so you can really see that shining through, I think, throughout the season. In typical, especially TNG fashion, some of them get more than others. I mean, to be fair, it is called Star Trek Picard. So story revolves around him. But overall, I enjoyed it. Go ahead.
I was going to say,
See
if
you.
you haven't finished, spoilers ahead, maybe skip ahead a little bit.
Oh yeah, thank you for that.
I could hear you about to say it. You were about to say Borg.
Oh well, yeah. That's probably my main. That was my main thing, and I had kind of a whole little like pout session about, because we talked the night before, like before we watched that episode where the reveal was that the thing going on with Jack was a Borg thing, just to put it simply, and I was like, I really hope they don't do that, and then that's what it was. So I was a little salty, but I mean, again, it's Picard's show. It kind of made sense that that would come back again in a way. I mean, I didn't necessarily love it personally, but I mean, I think that the way, the end product, I think I was still satisfied. And so I don't know. I know you said maybe we'll get into it. Maybe you'll say some things that I'll want to bounce off of, but those are my overall thoughts. I think it was the best of Picard, season or the series Picard, and yeah, I didn't love necessarily all aspects of it, but I don't know. It was still a good time.
Agreed. I had a blast with it. I feel like it was, again, I mean, as with Star Trek, ever since it came back in 2017, it's been fun week to week to just anticipate the new episode, enjoy it with like people in the fan community. It's just carrying on that tradition. I think this series was a lot of fun. Like, I think that season 2 was a little bit dour and kind of depressing, and season 1 was a little depressing too at times. And this one was really fun. Like, I keep coming back to the word fun, but like there was some just cool, like fresh elements to it, like visually. I think in the first 4 episodes in particular, like the notion of throwing a starship, that was really cool, and like just a cool thing to see. And in the finale, like the Enterprise D basically Star Warsing through the Borg cube was just visually really cool. Like there was a lot of cool like things that you could never see with the Enterprise D in the past, that it got its due here to finally do. And that's complete nostalgia, but I loved it. I ate that stuff up. There are a few like issues I have with it. But I think overall I'm really happy with what they came out with. This feels like a really nice, like you said, swan song for that crew. I know that Nemesis was not it. It just wasn't.
No.
Like that didn't do it. Picard season 1 and 2, I'm not sure what they were trying to do. There was like elements of trying to move a story forward in a different direction and not just be a reunion. But I think that they came to the realization that that reunion was unfortunately kind of hanging over the show's head. Like there just wasn't a proper wrap up there. And I feel like
and at some point,
Yeah.
there were enough like kind of cameos and like guest appearances of certain characters, and it was like, but like, what's Geordi
What about
doing?
this one? You just keep extending it,
what's
right?
Beverly doing?
Yeah, what are they up to? Like, it just, you've established them as such a family in the movies, especially too. And like, before moving on with Picard, it's almost like you needed to have wrapped up, given them a proper send off, in a sense, and they finally gave them that. And the final sequences of them playing poker together was a real joy, a real delight. It was real nice to finally have, like, Beverly, for example, like had so much more to do in a lot of these episodes than in a lot of TNG, honestly. Like, she got to be a badass in multiple episodes in this, and it was so cool. And not that she wasn't in TNG, but there was a lot where I feel like, especially in the movies, I'm thinking of mostly, where she was almost relegated to a background character in like First Contact and Insurrection and even Nemesis. So like, to emphasize the relationship that her and Jean-Luc have is like such an important element that was just like forgotten for those movies. And I'm glad that was brought back and really like dug into deeply.
I also mentioned this too, but especially because she mentions her other son, Wesley, a few times in this series when, sort of like, I've already lost a son to space. I don't want to lose another. And I was really hoping that there was going to be a Will Wheaton cameo too, just because he was part of that crew and that family. But, Traveler stuff, I know we saw him at the end of season 2. So that was our Will Wheaton, our Wesley cameo. But it was just like sad. I don't know. Maybe it's because like I'm a mom now. And so I'm like, oh, I wouldn't want my child to like just never like talk to them again. Anyway,
Yeah, it sucks because like the idea that she's like, I lost, he's lost, like he's lost to her, but he's still out there is like, it is tragic in some way.
I could fill a whole episode about that. And
Yeah, you have thoughts.
I do have thoughts, but that this episode of our podcast is not about that. So
That's true. But yeah, I think ultimately we liked it. I know that we were talking earlier about this a little bit, but I think it kind of sucks. Like there was an element of like, I think it just it had such mass appeal to a lot of people that there were people who were like, "Oh, it's real Star Trek again," and that shit bothers me because like, I mean, Star Trek is basically what they make. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It's all Star Trek. You cannot like some, and that's fine. But
yeah,
I mean, you wouldn't have this without Star Trek Discovery blazing the trail in like 2017 and like coming and doing all it's done. Like you wouldn't have this with a lot of those other shows too. And so, I think that we have those shows to thank for this, and I also think like those other shows are great.
Yeah, it's not like those were like the payment or that we didn't sacrifice through those shows to get the reward of Picard season 3. Yeah, that's not what we're trying. And anyway, I just don't even want to like feed those trolls anymore. So, and that's what they are. So
yeah. So anyway, loved it, and I'm excited to see where we go forward from here. I am all for the idea of a Star Trek Legacy spinoff if that's something that they're going to come to. I think the setup at the end is really fun, like Captain Seven and Rafi on the bridge, the LaForge sisters there, and that kind of crew to kind of play around with. I think that's a really cool like starting off point for like a new crew. I would enjoy the idea of that being a show that could check in with some of our like beloved characters from like the 90s and early 2000s era Trek. Like it'd be cool to see like cameos and stuff and check-ins, but the focus being this crew, I think it's a really cool potential.
Yeah, we'll see what they do.
Yeah. Anyway, that's mostly what I want to do with check. I do want to say like, okay, a little bit more, not necessarily Picard related. It's not in my notes. You're not going to see it there. Just came up with it. We're recording today. This is going to come out in the future, but today is Star Wars Day.
Yes.
And I know we're a Star Trek podcast, but I think we've established especially with our Trey Calloway interview, that we are an all-encompassing sci-fi fans. We are all-encompassing sci-fi fans. And we also are Star Wars fans. And I think it'd be fun. It was just kind of fun in this segment to just like shout out happy May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah. And we are not all caught up in all the Star Wars universe at the moment, but we're working through it. Do you want to give the audience a brief overview of where we are in our Star Wars watch-alongs?
Oh, man, I don't even know if I know everything. I mean, the big ones. So we took a year to finish Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett.
We got through it, though.
We did. We haven't started Mando season 3, and we haven't watched Andor. We did watch the Obi-Wan series, though.
Yeah, we watched first 2 seasons of Mandalorian.
Yes.
We've watched Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett so far, and of course all the movies. Yeah.
Well, we did watch. What was that?
Visions.
We watched not all of them though.
That's true. The season 2 of Visions just dropped, I think, today. I believe May the 4th. I mean, so if you are a Star Wars fan and haven't checked out Visions, it's season 2 is on.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of good stuff there too.
Yeah, looking forward to some more Star Wars in our lives too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, we could. I suppose we should move on to the meat of the episode, if you will, or the tofu for the vegans or the vegetarians among us. Pescatarians. I'm sorry, I moved up the ladder there.
Yeah, you just kind of went through the whole gamut there.
Yeah. Nicole's a pescatarian, if you didn't know.
I am. If you want to be specific, I'm an ovo-lacto pescatarian. But
what does that? What does that first part mean?
Ovo, egg, lacto, milk.
So egg and milk and fish-atarian.
Egg, dairy.
Egg, dairy, fish-atarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just don't eat meat.
All right. Speaking of meat,
we're going way back. We went. We were talking about 32nd century a little bit, and then what is it? 24th century. Can't keep my century straight, but now we're going back for this episode. This is going to be an Enterprise episode. The series.
It's been a long road.
It's been a long road. Getting from there to here.
Yeah.
Literally. I think we've probably just spent 20 minutes not talking about Enterprise.
That's fine. And that's fine. So
fine.
we chose an episode from season 3. It's episode 6 of season 3, Exile. And I got a little synopsis. Exile. What What did I say
I
wrong?
feel like you were trying to say
Exile.
like eggs. Like you're, it's
Exile.
because like we were just talking about eggs.
Maybe it's exile, right?
Yeah.
Egg salad.
Exile.
Exile.
Yeah.
It's no. I've said it too much now. It's weird. Now it doesn't feel natural
No,
anyway.
you said it the best the last time. Just
But-
let that.
Okay. Anyway, that's the episode. The synopsis is as follows: Hoshi is contacted by a mysterious telepath who offers to help Enterprise in its mission for a price.
Yeah, for a price.
So that's a really broad, I
Mhm.
think, synopsis description. But basically, Hoshi's kind of like being contacted by a telepath saying, "Come find me. I can tell you shit." And so they go find him, and he promises.
Wow. Thank you for so succinctly summing that up.
He promises to reveal some stuff about the Zindi because this is in the mid of that Zindi war arc for Enterprise in season 3.
Well, Zindi Crisis.
Zindi
That's
Crisis.
what it's called.
Yeah, it's Crisis. Sorry, it's not the war.
I don't think the Zindi view it as a war.
Yeah, I think
It feels
there's
a little
been
one-sided.
conflicting like ways of referring to it. I feel like what's that Idris Elba's character in Beyond called it the Zindi War, didn't he?
Oh,
I don't know. I think there's been different
Okay.
ideas of it, but anyway, the Zindi conflict, that arc in season 3, that kind of season long arc. So this alien telepath appears humanoid, like as a human at first, and then tells them to come to the planet, and then we get the reveal that he's a very unique and different looking alien. More on that to come, and he promises to use his telepathy to reveal some information about the Zindi weapon that they're searching for facts on. And the one condition was that Hoshi were to stay with him because he feels a sense of connection to her. And he keeps saying that she is somebody who can kind of like be receptive to his like gifts, his telepathy gifts, and he can reach out to, and that's not always the case. So basically the episode follows Hoshi as she's kind of staying in this large Gothic era style mansion with this strange alien who has telepathy and like dealing with that. And there's kind of a B plot of them advancing the sphere builder plot. If anyone remembers that from Enterprise, I won't get into that, but that's just kind of another thing about that expanse area that they're in, that kind of mysterious and expanse. Cool stuff, but that's the B plot. So anyway, larger synopsis aside, what did you think of this episode?
It is interesting from the perspective, and we'll get into this. I think you're going to talk a little bit more about this, but it ultimately boils down to being a sort of Beauty and the Beast type story. And one cool thing is that it's going to give us an opportunity to talk about Hoshi. And I will say, I was going through Hoshi's Memory Alpha entry today, and this episode fills a lot of her Memory Alpha, especially like sort of like just her background. And so it's kind of a big like exposition on Hoshi and her growing up and all that, because he has these telepathic abilities. One thing is that he has essentially studied Hoshi. It sounds like, I think he confirms, like basically before he even contacted her, and like while they were on the way to his planet, and well, he says that he wasn't looking at her mind into her mind like once she's there, but you can tell he kind of is doing it a little bit still. So that's where we're starting out, is him essentially mining her memories for information about her. And yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting episode. I love that we get a lot of Hoshi, but I feel like, it's kind of under unfortunate circumstances for her character, I think. And the way it ends, I think, is definitely for the best. But yeah, it'll be an interesting relationship, I guess, to dig into. What are your thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement with you mostly. I think Linda Park is really great in Enterprise throughout, and it's just it's truly unfortunate that she really doesn't get as much to do. Like, for as much of an ensemble as Star Trek always is, like
she gets a lot to do. Sorry to kind of cut in, but she gets to do, I feel like, a lot of linguistic stuff, and it is very important to the mission of exploration. And then it also becomes important for this arc, the Zindi arc. However, we just don't get to know Hoshi as a person as
Yeah.
much.
Right. She doesn't have like, there's not a whole lot of Hoshi episodes that you can really point to. And it's unfortunate because I think Enterprise, like for as much as we love it, kind of took a bit of a step back from where Voyager and Deep Space Nine left us in terms of not only just representation, like culturally and like racially, but like just like with having diverse, like a crew that was like at the forefront. Like this really like goes back to TOS where it's like the big three, right? That we focus on mostly. And it's kind of too bad because I think there are some really interesting characters in like Hoshi or like Travis Mayweather, who has a lot of like unmined story potential there with like being the only one who was born in space, right? But I digress. Anyway, you're right. This is a great Hoshi exploration episode to learn more about her as a character and who she kind of is, her backstory. And it is in kind of an interesting way to do it. And there is a lot of exposition. They just kind of say it, but like the way in which we get there, I think is some kind of unique sci-fi mumbo jumbo, which I love. I love that stuff. I think that this episode, I like it a lot. I don't know how well received it is. I'm a big fan of when Star Trek is able to kind of go all out on an alien design. And I think that is one thing that Enterprise did have going for it, just by virtue of being made later than the other ones, is the makeup and the prosthetics are really good a lot of the times. They did play around with a lot of like CGI that doesn't really hold up as well in Enterprise, but like the physical makeup effects on a lot of the aliens look really cool. And a lot of the new aliens that we see are really unique. And this one is up there with one of the more interesting designs. I think he's kind of almost insectoid like. He's got like I don't want to say spikes, but like antennae all on his head. Like it's very unique design. Mm-hmm. And so I appreciated a lot of those elements. So those kind of coming together for me, I thought were interesting. And you mentioned Beauty and the Beast kind of homage. Mm-hmm. And Phantom of the Opera, like those kind of classical like influences, I think are interesting to dig into too. So I enjoyed it overall. Look like you're about to say something.
No, it's just interesting that I don't know if he gets this from Hoshi's mind, but he sort of kind of apologizes for his appearance, or like he expects his appearance to be like grotesque to Hoshi and the other like humanoid. He's a humanoid, but like human looking aliens on Enterprise, and which is just interesting. So I don't know if he's getting that from her, or like, because that's like for him that should be the default, and so it's just interesting that he kind of points out like his appearance as being not enticing to them, or because like we see all sorts of interesting aliens, and he's like one of the only ones that's like self-conscious almost about it.
Right. That's an interesting point. I think that they definitely do that to carry that I don't know, allegory or metaphor,
I think that's
or whatever,
probably why.
What have you, to like those two properties, because the idea is this person who's like, scary looking. Okay, so here's my thoughts on the Beauty and the Beast thing.
All right, go on.
I think that, it's very much a Beauty and the Beast story, right? Mm-hmm. But in a sense, I feel like it's Beauty and the Beast, but if the Beast was also Gaston at the same time. So like those two characters are the same.
A little bit, yeah.
So like I think Beauty and the Beast is somewhat, you could talk about a lot of problems there, like Stockholm syndrome or whatever, or like the idea of like him like imprisoning her, and that in effect kind of happens here. But like I think what Beauty and the Beast tries to do is show that the Beast is no longer like vain and no longer like self-obsessed and stuff. Like he's the nice guy at the end, right? He's the guy, the one that we're supposed to root for. But in this, I feel like the episode does something that I'm glad that it does, is it makes us like, it does make us sympathize with his plight. Like we learn that he, as an alien, was sequestered from his people because he's like one in like a million who has telepathy, and they don't like that. They send you off. They exile you, right? The name of the thing, Exile.
Okay.
And so he's a loner. So we are sympathetic to his plight, but the episode doesn't ask us to sympathize with his actions. I don't think. I think that it's seen, and Hoshi is very clear about like, you crossing boundaries. I don't want to be with you, and I never want to be with you. And she doesn't stay with him. And I think that's great. And I think that's an interesting recognition of like some of the problems with those like kinds of stories in the past where they're like kind of seen as like tragic romances. It's like, no, this is pretty fucking creepy, you know? And I think the episode treats it as such overall.
Yeah, it's a very tense episode overall, even though like not a lot happens. And so I think that's pretty effective as far as an episode. Like, it's hard to say like I love this episode. I do think it's like pretty good in that sense that like it kind of, you know, it's just tense. Like, I'm just like, what is he gonna do? And like, you know, because you just feel Hoshi's anxiety a little bit, and then you know, and then the sequence where like he pretends to be Archer and he's like, oh no, you're gonna stay.
God, that's so awful.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Or when he pretends to be Phlox, that's so creepy too.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. We keep saying the alien. His name is Tarquin, I think.
Yeah.
Tarquin is the name of the character. I also want to kind of take a step aside real quick, and just from like a production standpoint, I do think that this is kind of cool, given that a lot of like the romance episodes and like Star Trek in general has just been very like male dominated in the writer's room. This episode was directed by Roxanne Dawson.
Oh yeah.
Which is cool. And it was written, I have this right here, by Phyllis Strong. It's also written by a woman. And this was actually her first solo writing credit, because she'd written with like a male co-writer.
Speaking of writers,
a bunch of like, a bunch of
the strike's going on right now.
Topical, writer's strike, I was gonna say she's written a bunch of Voyager and Enterprise episodes prior to this with another partner, but this was her first solo writing credit, which is kind of cool. So it is cool to see that like in terms of like being like a very woman centric story, that's, you know, be in the hands of like a woman director and writer too.
Is it? Yeah, you know, now that you're saying that, I do get the sense looking back that it does feel like it was written more from a female perspective as opposed to the male perspective. I feel like Tarkin would have been made a lot more sympathetic otherwise.
That's a great point. Yeah, he probably would have been.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, okay. That he's not kind of like full out, like that they chose not to completely villainize him.
I think that's good.
They could have.
Yeah, and I think that's why I think it works so well, because like they recognize, like I said, the negative aspects are negative and they're bad, and he's creepy. But they're also like, I mean, he's not a one-dimensional villain. He's not just like this mustache twirling, like once you find out that he's had like 4 other companions, as he calls them, over the years that are just dead, and he kind of just thinks that Hoshi's going to stay with him, and then like tricks her. Like the heel turn, like he's not just completely evil the whole time. Like he ultimately does give him the information, and he apologizes, and not that nobody should take his apology. He's still an ass, but it's just like there's there's more layers there, I think. Yeah. And that's interesting for like an antagonistic perspective, I think.
Yeah.
One thing I do wish that they would have done a little bit more of is like really dug into like how he really did not I mean, it's mentioned briefly, but he had no consent to go into her history, right? Like she was like, she said a few times like, are you reading my mind right now? Like that. But there was like, I almost wish there was a bigger deal made of it. Like, you went into my mind, you're like taking the image of my friends, like as just a concept of a consent issue.
Oh,
I almost wish that was brought up more.
I mean,
that should have brought up a lot more, I think.
Yeah, I think today maybe it would have been, but yeah, I mean, it's so glaringly obvious, and even just like some of her most like private memories. I don't remember the specifics because we did watch it like a week ago, but something about how the last person she felt she was close to was her, I think, grandfather.
Yep.
And that specifics about like recipes from her childhood, and the fact that she, you know, was always, you know, doing like language lessons or music lessons, and was like not really, I don't know, like allowed to play with other kids. I have some like kind of makes me wonder about Hoshi's parents a little bit, but anyway, so like kind of like these really like, or just the fact that even though she's on a starship full of people, she still always feels alone. Like those are very private thoughts. And like, that's why, you know, I feel very tense and I feel really squeamish, like when he's like, you know, putting this all out to her. And it's so weird because he uses it as, and I don't know if it's worked on his other companions, because like he uses it as a way to connect to her. He's trying to be like, I know you, but it's like, that's not how you get to know people, which honestly, even though you feel bad that he was exiled by his people, and in a way I'm like, well, this is why. Because then like you can't have effective relationships with like that, because it's too imbalanced.
Yeah, I mean the whole system is messed up. Like I definitely get that, but it's like if the society, like if they had like telepathic people, like if the solution wasn't simply exile, perhaps there could have been like some sort of system set up where like telepathic people could train other telepathic people to not be creeps, theoretically that may not be the case. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, like I imagine that, I mean, perhaps the idea is that they're like a marginalized community within their society, and there's more to be said there, right? Like,
yeah, but they're cutting them off. So of course, I mean, in a way, it's like okay,
that makes him probably more creepy, right?
Yeah, I really almost want to get into like incels, like allegories here, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, that could be.
Today, I think we would like equate it with a little bit with that, where it's like the loner and like, well, they have a tragic backstory, they can't connect to people for whatever reason, but it doesn't give you a fucking excuse to kidnap people or like make them be in a relationship with you or love you or whatever. Like you don't, I don't know, nobody owes you anything.
Yeah.
Like that. Anyway.
Right. No, agreed. Yeah,
it's so also, I mean, I'm just very curious as to like, is it because like Hoshi has like these linguistic abilities? Because all he says is that she is really receptive apparently to his telepathic powers, but I don't know if they were trying to indicate that because she holds his crystal thing that is sort of like a focus for him, his telepathic focus, I guess. And, she briefly is able to kind of use it. So I'm like, is it implying like everybody has like some latent like telepathic abilities and his are just really strong? Does Hoshi have more than the typical human, or is she extraordinary in some way? Like that was a question I had swirling around in my brain too. Like, because it didn't seem to go both ways. It's not like she could use she could use telepathy, or like, it's not like he could make sort of a telepathic roadway between them that she could then utilize. It was just that she was supposedly receptive to his telepathic abilities. I'm going off, but like those are just questions that I had, and I know there's not answers, but because it was just like a episode of television written for like 1 hour, barely of entertainment. So
I think the follow-up question to some of those things would be like, if telepathy were the thing, like, wouldn't it be like T'Pol? Right.
Yep. Actually, that's 100% like
my mind kind of goes to that, like perhaps there has to be like an emotional connection too, and with like the more suppression of emotions, like maybe she wouldn't be open to like connecting there, or like
I wonder if maybe T'Pol was the person that he actually like could sought out, but then he hit a wall trying to like.
Yeah, maybe. And she's just like, I don't have time for this, and I'm not going to acknowledge this as part of my mind.
Or not even just that, but just like because she's trained herself to like emotionally like suppress emotions. Like he didn't. I don't know. He couldn't sort of like grab onto anything there. So then he was like, well, I don't know. Also, it seems like he says companions and like, it seems he just wants companionship, but he seemed, I don't know. It sounded like, I think all the names he mentioned were all female sounding names. So
I think so. Yeah.
He definitely seeks out women.
Yeah. And I think we didn't fully explain this, but yeah, there's like 4 graves outside his little like mansion that are supposedly previous companions.
It's the equivalent of the rose scene in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Don't go out there.
Don't go out there. Yeah, that's exactly it, actually. Wow. There are a lot of 1-to-1s there, isn't there? But they're like, he's like super old and it's like living there for like thousands of years or something. I don't know how long it was.
He said
hundreds of years, perhaps.
Yeah.
But like
he said it'd been 100 years, I think, since he'd last had a companion. Maybe.
There's like multiple life cycles have passed. So like people like come and live with him and then they die. So it's an unappealing prospect.
Yeah.
Like you just come and just stay there and you can't go anywhere for a long time. I don't know, until you die.
Ugh.
Seems not great.
Yeah, I'm prisoner basically.
I mean, I also wonder like his own exile. Like he's like exiled there, but like couldn't he just like go like are they monitoring him? Like couldn't he just go somewhere else? Also, just like I want to go on a vacation.
Like, well, why does he not have a spaceship?
Seems like he got spaceships to come to him. Couldn't he be like, I want to be a refugee. Like take me on your ship or something. I don't know. Like couldn't he? There's plenty of ways he could ask for passage somehow.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I think he wants to stay there, probably, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe at this point he's used to it, but
I don't know.
I,
So
I feel
lots
like
of unanswered
I'm
questions.
getting more questions as I keep talking.
Yep.
I don't know. I did still really enjoy the episode. I think it's a cool idea. I think there's cool elements to it. I think it's a good example ultimately of how Enterprise at this time could do a standalone episode while also still advancing the plot.
hmm
Because ultimately it all wraps up, but like it still advances like the Xindi arc and advances the sphere builder plot. Like that's cool and well done. Like the writing there was good.
hmm
So for the time and for what they're doing, I think it's a generally good episode.
Yes, and again, a good Hoshi episode. Did you
Yeah.
know that Hoshi means star in Japanese?
No, I didn't know that. I like that. That's really cool.
I was reading. I don't know where I read that. Maybe it was Memory Alpha, or I don't know. I was looking up Hoshi today, and I feel like there was something about I think Sato, her surname I think is supposed to mean something about home. So something about like home in the stars or something is kind of supposed to be like what her name kind of means or can an interpretation of her name. Anyway,
Oh,
that was a fun fact on the side.
that is really cool. Yeah. I wish she got more. She was the Emperor in the Mirror Universe, right?
hmm
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, I was just thinking this today, Joe. But we should do a little detour into the mirror universe, like do a mirror from any of the series that explore the mirror universe. We should do a episode where about relationships in the mirror universe.
Mirror Universe has like heightened like sexual energy,
Yeah.
and there's a lot to unpack with that.
Oh yeah.
That we could just do like Mirror Universe in general.
Yeah. We could just do a whole mirror universe like series.
That's true. Yeah, listeners, if you want a Mirror Universe episode, add us.
Yeah.
We'll probably just do it anyway.
Or if you know, if you want to, if you have things to say about mirror universe
yeah.
relationships, we'd love to have guests.
We do love guests, yeah.
Mhm.
Should we start to pivot to the rating scale?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how. I don't think there's going to be any argument here. I'd be very surprised if there is. But
Yeah. So it's
should we just do on 3?
all right.
1,
1, 2,
2, 3.
3.
Red
Resistance
alert!
Red alert. Sorry,
Oh my god!
I went the wrong way. Red alert.
We were gonna do a cool thing. Did you do that on purpose?
No. 1, 2, 3. Red alert.
Okay, so we're both on red alert.
Well, I was just reading it upside down.
Okay.
All right. So for those of you who might not know our rating scale, our patented rating scale,
It's not.
it's we rate the romance in question, being that we're a love podcast, on a 5-point scale. Red alert being incredibly toxic, yellow alert less so, but still pretty bad. Fascinating, kind of in the middle, and fully functional, pretty good. And resistance is futile, too hot to handle. I read it upside down. I meant a red alert. All right, dig into it. Give us your reasons.
Oh, I mean, I think people could have seen, people who are regular listeners could have seen a red alert coming probably from a mile away. Lack of consent, basically attempts to kidnap her and hold her prisoner. He doesn't listen when she says no. Again, yeah, the consent thing, but also just like he filled himself with information about her. And at one point in the episode, she does say, like, I don't know anything about you. And I feel like he gives us like 5 lines of like history compared to the like, I don't know. It seems like he read pages and pages and pages, like thousands of pages worth of like memories of her, essentially. I don't know how the mind reading works, but whatever. You know what I mean? And it's literally like all the red flags. It's sort of like Barbarian in that sense.
Good reference.
Yeah, like if you were gonna write a book about like all the red flags that you should watch out for in a potential like relationship or whatever, like this is this takes the cake. I mean, I think it's for me, of all the relationships that we have done up until this point, it is the most clear red alert. I can't even fathom rating it like anything else. I mean, it doesn't work out, and and that's as it should be.
Yeah.
She gets away.
Yeah.
I guess that sounds like she like super escapes.
So-
But I mean, I don't know. He's sort of essentially. No, he doesn't. I'm remembering the end of the episode. He kind of like is holding the ship hostage.
She threatens to break his little thing,
Yeah,
his little
that's
like
what it was.
orb or whatever.
Yeah, she kind of had to like step in between and just be like, no.
Mhm.
I don't want to say step up. Not like she hadn't stepped up, but like rise up and be like, I'm not taking this anymore, and like threaten, make an actual threat. The whole time she's trying to just be like, no, thank you.
She's trying to be
No,
diplomatic.
no,
She's trying to be a
yes.
diplomat, as they are trying to be often in the show.
Yes, and then that's the point where he's basically like, they're running out of air.
Yeah.
You better say yes. And she's like, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, I'm gonna break your little orb.
Yeah, the orb, which is
Yeah.
his connection to people. So
Yeah.
she should have. It was fitting of her to do that. And then he finally is like, oh, okay. And yeah, he does ultimately give them the information on the Zindi that they had hoped to get from him. But, Hoshi was kind of like, yeah, I'm sorry that didn't work out. But anyway. All right. Anything else you have to add about that?
Not a whole lot. I mean, I think that it's an absolute red alert. Like it's incredibly, like you said, red flag heavy and laden. He's ostensibly like he's a bad person. Like I think that I don't want anyone to misconstrue what I said when I said he's like somewhat sympathetic. Like I just mean that he's like layered.
Explains his actions but doesn't excuse them.
Exactly. Thank you. Explains his actions but doesn't excuse them. He's layered in the sense that he's an interesting antagonist. He's a complete asshole, complete awful person. Not person, being human centric.
I think it's okay.
Yeah. What's that quote from Star Trek 6? Basic human rights. Even the very phrase is racist. The Klingons say that. Yeah. So yes, he sucks. But the fact that they gave him those layers, I think, makes for a more interesting and compelling story overall.
Yeah.
But yes, very, very red alert, very toxic, not good. I would say you're saying that this is the most clear red alert of our episodes. I'd say it's probably up there with the Alice one we did with Tom Paris. That one's pretty bad too.
Oh, sorry, Tom. Forgot about you.
It's okay, Tom. Yeah.
It's so weird though, because Tom was like into it at first.
He was a little into it first. She was never into it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. One thing I kind of wanted to mention as an aside, I feel like when I was doing a little bit of research into this episode, a lot of the reviews had kind of talked about how there was like, they felt it was negligent on the part of Archer to let her stay alone. And I had some thoughts on that idea, and I felt a little, I don't know if I love that critiqued. I think there are ways that you can criticize that, as like you could make the case that like she's an important bridge officer, that as a ship, if we have to go somewhere else, we're leaving a shuttle there just in case. But like I feel like the reviews like verge in the territory of like almost like a paternalistic thing, like, oh, he shouldn't have left her there, he should take care of her. And I don't know if I like that vibe, because I think the point that she's always trying to make is like, I'm a Starfleet officer. I'm capable. Like, I can make this choice for myself.
I feel like
and she does.
Literally had this conversation.
They had this conversation. Like, she's like, I can make this choice for myself, and I know this is important, and I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you take the other side of that, like, for as much as a captain should never like go do a dumb thing on a little planet like that with like a mansion thing, Kirk would have done it, right?
You mean like Kirk would have stayed in?
Kirk would have made like weird decisions, like I'm going to go down there and hang out with this like alien woman to get this information, right? He would have done that.
Yeah.
Like it's. I think that's an interesting like. Weird...
Nobody would have batted an eye if it had been Archer. If it had been like completely like gender flipped, or even if like not.
Like if you'd have been like, T'Pol, you have the bridge, go finish this mission while I hang out with this alien.
Mm-hmm.
Like that wouldn't have been as weird. I think it's because like, I mean, I will say that the show has like did give this like mentor-mentee relationship to the two of them in the beginning a little bit. But I think maybe like to the credit of the writing, they're trying to say like she's evolved past that by saying like, no, I can make my own choices. But I think that the reviews that point that out are missing the mark, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I agree.
So anyway, I don't think that's a criticism. I can see the point of like, in a bridge officer like on this planet that you're not sure about, like you might want to leave like, I don't know, a couple like Makos or something, Marine Corps people or whatever they are, like in a shuttle if you have to leave, like because they wanted the Enterprise to not leave, right? They're just like, we don't have time, we have to go do this thing also.
Yeah,
I don't
remember.
Like the original was like, she just has to stay on the planet with me. But anyway, that was interesting. You mentioned too, one of the things I want to say before we wrap up is you mentioned this reminded you of a Voyager episode, right?
Oh, yes, the one with Tuvok.
Where like the telepathic alien kind of talks to him through the
Reaches the
holodeck,
Vulcan,
right? Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess there's precedent for that happening, but I guess T'Pol was just nope.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's another episode that'd be fun to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
It's interesting. This is like a bridge between that Tuvok episode and then like the Alice episode in a way.
Kinda. That's
Sort
a
of
great.
like they're all kind of like related.
See,
in
I got
ways.
sex candle vibes.
What?
So okay.
What?
So okay. One.
In this episode?
Yeah. The gothic
The gothic
element.
Okay.
That's one.
Oh,
But
okay.
also like when he would appear in his human form and be like, "Don't be afraid," like in the shadows.
Oh,
Like that kind
yeah.
of shit. That was Ronan. That's very Ronan-ish. Like he's playing that as like this sort of like gothic, almost Dracula-like character. I mean, this is like Phantom of the Opera kind of vibes, like that sort of old like Universal style horror element where he's like, you know, I got that vibe like when he was doing that, when he was trying to be almost romantic in some sense.
Minus the Scottish accents.
Yeah, minus Scottish accents. Yeah, but that's what I got. I got that connection.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You see it.
I didn't. I see it now, but I didn't. I didn't feel it in the moment.
Yeah, that's fine. Now you know,
Now I do.
because knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
Any other final thoughts?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No, I think we pretty sufficient deep dive into that episode.
I agree. Yeah. I guess. Oh yeah. Never mind. I do have a few final thoughts because so we talked about this being like a Beauty and the Beast episode, and it obviously ends differently because Hoshi does not stay and never, doesn't whatever fall in love and all that stuff. So it's nice that it's kind of the same setup, but that ultimately she stands her ground on the no, and she doesn't change her mind. Whereas, in the original Beauty and the Beast, that's what happens is Belle stays with the Beast, and although this guy wasn't ever really going to change into like a quote handsome prince, he's just going to kind of, I guess he could be that other guy, but that was not necessarily his like human form in the shadows. Was not. Didn't seem like that's what
form, no.
Yeah, no. And
Same actor though,
and it didn't seem like that's what he was going for. I don't know. Anyway, I guess that's my final thought. It's different ending compared to other Beauty and the Beast esque stories.
Yeah, I like that, and I think that's one reason it worked better. I'd say at least. Anyway, yeah, I suppose to wrap everything up, and I want to give a thanks to our listeners for tuning in once again for our May episode. We're recording this early on in May, so I'm hoping that this gives us an opportunity to get something on the books sooner, so we can get something out next month for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Again, thanks to those of you who took the time to rate our podcast. We also got a bunch of more like just regular star ratings without a review, and we appreciate those as well. It ideally brings more people to the show, and get some more ears on our podcast, which is always nice to have.
Yeah, I mean, we do this for fun. I mean, just nice to know people are listening.
It is nice. It's a little rewarding. So thank you so much for those of you who are listening and tuning in and taking the time to review. It's truly, truly appreciated.
Yeah, so again, if always feel free to reach out at DSLovepod on Twitter if you're still on there. I'm not going on there very much these days, but I know we're keeping up on the account best we can. But otherwise, hopefully in the next few weeks we will have another episode in the next few weeks. We don't know what it's going to be yet, so it'll be a surprise.
It's a TBD.
In the meantime, though, let's see. We're at May, and then Strange New Worlds drops mid-June. Cool. So we'll have not too long. We'll have another series going, or another season of a series going on. Exciting. All right. Thank you again, everyone. And until next time, love long and prosper.